How's it going? My name is Matt from Nowoski Suspension. Today I'm sitting down with the legend Donnie Smith. We are at the Donnie Smith Show. I'm sure a lot of people know a lot of stuff about you, but for those who might not, maybe give us an introduction on kind of, how this show got started, and even if you could tell us a little bit about how you got it started into motorcycles in general.
Now everybody, have you heard? If you're in the game, well, then the stroke's the word. Don't take no rhythm, don't take no style. You got a thirst for killing, grab your ball, yeah.
Well, I started working on bikes in '71. I'm building some bikes. I had a Triumph earlier on that I kind of customized, sold it. I used to be a drag racer. I drag raced like coupes and sedans, Willis coupes and sedans. Then I went to service for 2 years, 68 and 9, got out, went into funny cars for 4 years, and then back in the day, we had a Heliarch. We were Smith Brothers and Fetro. And Fetro was a class welder and that. So we started doing frames. The front section, another story. My uncle comes in, he got a brand new 70 Sportster and he wants it raked. We're farm kids. A rake is something you pull with a tractor, So he goes, no, you got this front end that was from AE&E and you got to angle it out like that. And so we did it, no problem, because we build our own race cars. So then pretty soon, more people heard about it. I did one of my own bikes and that took off. People coming in. My brother wanted his bike done, and our partner Fetro says, rather than reusing the old cast neck, I'll just machine a new one and do a backbone and that, which we call them hardhead kits. And all at once that took off like crazy. Because nobody was doing them that way. They were always using the original. And so we got kind of through with the funny cars. And our accountant at the time says, if you got rid of that funny car, he says you could make a living off them bikes. And I said, but we're racers. He said, no, now you're motorcycle guys. And in 3 years we had 15 guys, and it was Smith Brothers and Fetro. And we did them front sections of that. In '75, we did 275 frames that year.
Holy cow.
It just blew up, and it just kind of grew out of that. We started making some other products. We made some curved fender struts for Sportsters and Big Twins, and they took off. And then you couldn't get springers from anybody, they were kind of all on the West Coast. We thought, we build race cars, we can make springers. So we started making springers, and then I designed a girder, and that took off, and we grew into it, and then finally, my friend Neil, I've known Neil, brought up this show, and it was a J&P show, went to an R&B show, and it never went very good in this area. And I kept kind of signing it on. I'm going, it's never done well here. He said, I think with your name, I can make this work, So he called me up. We made a deal. He said, I bought it. We made a deal, got involved. And we were the upstairs in here, which is about a third of the size of this, or even smaller. I think we're up there for 2 years, and then we moved it down here. And I know, he's nervous because he's got a lot on the hook. And he goes, he says, I'm going to just sell all the spots. We don't have enough bikes. And I said, they're bikers. They're procrastinators. Look in the mirror. And he goes, pretty soon he called me and said, Now I'm turning them away. What I do, I said, just count your blessings. And it's been a great show, known to be one of the best in the Midwest, if not the country. It speaks for itself, you know. I mean, people enjoy it. We had a great swap meet. We tried cars for a little while. They got a great show around here that's called Gopher State, which I was part of in the 60s. It's racing street rods. And they're just too close together, you know. So here we are.
Well, it seems like you guys have built something amazing here.
It's, you know,
And I'm sure that it's taken a lot of time and effort to get it to this point. But along the way, I mean, is there any like standout years where you can remember, like, I mean, visioning something this big? I mean, when did it kind of hit that it could be this big for you?
well, back when when the economy was real good, it was like we just turned people away all the time, you know. And then when that kind of, changed presidents and stuff like that, it kind of died down. Then the COVID came in, and that kind of slapped everybody up. We were, Neil was determined that he's going to make it through that. And I said, they're digging up new things. It ain't going to happen. Finally, he goes, you're right about that. We are. So we shut down for a couple of years, and it came back real good. I mean, on the positive side, and we think now we're back to about where we were when they shut us down. We're very pleased. Like, even when I walked in on Saturday, he says, the enthusiasm, everything is back, where you're comfortable with it, Nothing this big is ever easy, you just, so standout years, I think once we got down here in about 2 years, this thing was rocking, and it just, it kind of grew on its own, and I guess he had more confidence in using my name than I had, I've always been known in the city. We've done tons of stuff. We built springers, built girders, built frames and handlebars and all that stuff. And then that died off in about 1980. We could see it dropping down. 80 was our last good year as Smith and Fetro. And then we finally sold a shop and stuff and shut our machine shop down in about 85. And that's about when the things were, but then when 90 came, that's when you couldn't get a bike and you're doing all that. And that really put us on the map, because now people are building bikes to sell, because there's buyers out there, but no bikes. And then that kind of helped us get rolling. Once it got going, it is.
Yeah.
So, kind of got ahead of myself on that a little bit.
No, you're good. No problem.
So, but it's, the show is, people are looking forward to it. We have a lot of people coming, a lot of family. We try to make it be more like a family show that you can bring kids, which if you look around, there's always young people around and very young. But anyway, it's, you got to start someplace and get them going. Kevin Bass, we've always backed Kevin Bass and in his high school classes and that, and over the years I've had people will be like in a town and they'll come up and they say, I want to thank you. My kid graduated from school because you put that together. And I'm going, wow, barely did myself,
Yeah.
And but one guy said my kid would have quit school if that class had been. Makes you feel good. You're doing something good for kids, and so.
I gotta say, so today we've interviewed quite a few people here, like Hoffman and those guys, and it seems like this show specifically has been really instrumental in them. Like they would come here when they were younger, and then it's like started their whole career path. I mean, that's pretty cool. Like that has to be something that you're proud of, I'm sure.
I'm very proud of helping Kevin when I started, I thought it was somebody trying to, pull a TV stunt or something, like that. And once I met him, he's a great guy. We've become very, very good friends. And I remember walking into the school, and I got to meet him and looking around. He had some good equipment, and it's obvious the bike they're trying to build, they just got some stuff that people were handing off to him, and I'm headed to Cincinnati. That's when that trade show was going. And I said, what do you need? I mean, I'm going down there. Let me do some, checking around for you. So he said, we really need a motor and anything else. I said, well, I'm sure I can get you a belt drive. So I walk in. The first hospitality thing I had was with S&S. Brent was, he said, I want to talk to you later. And they were setting up their 50th thing. So he's got a couch over there. And so eventually I get sitting on the couch and we're discussing that 50th. And I said, before we're done here, I want to ask you one thing. What's a possibility? I don't have to be a new motor, just a decent motor. This guy's got this high school thing, and he calls the guy over, and just like that, I had a motor. And I'm going, whoa, I don't even get my own stuff that easy, So then I talked to the people at BDL. They've always been very generous to me, and I start giving my presentation. He says, just tell me where to send it. You've never tried to jack it wrong. I'm going, damn. Went to some people that sell hardware. Here's my card. Tell him, give me a call, whatever he wants. I'll take care of him. And that kind of got him rolling. And that was a good feeling, But we had a lot of people inquire about it, but most of them didn't realize this is like a coaching job. This ain't a half an hour deal. And anyway, back then it was because he worked hard, and it took a lot of his own time to put it together. And but we got a one school out of Eden, New York. They come here every year, and I'm a hamster in the hamster group. I'm one of the originals. So one of our members is Reuben Brown. Used to play for the Buffalo Bills and played out of Chicago and retired. And I always kid him about not coming here. And he finally says to me, well, I said that school. So what school is that? At Eden School. I send him to your show all the time. I'm going, I never even knew it. I finally went to the guy, how come you didn't say nothing about Reuben? I didn't know if I was supposed to, And I said, well, he told me. And so we talked about it. And they're here today. And him and Kevin Bass are really good friends and, teachers. And so that's just some of the things that this has brought in. It's just a good feeling to be part of that. I mean, I ride around the Twin City area, and I have multiple people come up. I won a trophy at your show. I won a trophy at your show, and they're like elated, and I'm just going, wow, So it's a good feeling for me, and it's a good. People appreciate it, And we've been backed by a lot of good people, and here I am.
So I know that this might be a hard question to answer, but through all these years of having this show, and it could be a bike that maybe you've built or something, is there a bike that stands out to you that's been one of your favorites that you've seen either here or that you built or anything like that you can think of?
Well, I've had that asked before by a British magazine, what's the best bike you ever built? And I said, I haven't built it yet. And that's kind of the truth, because and I've learned, you got a good idea and you're working on a bike with it, and then once you get a better idea, but don't throw the good idea away, because you won't have it, you use that, you're throwing a good one away, so use the next one on the next bike. So I just kind of do it, and I like to take challenges of bikes that Harleys can't sell, like the FXR, which is, everybody's into FXRs. I got one, traded a bike with my barber, and I really didn't want my haircuts to be messed up, so I traded him for an 81 police special. They'd been in an accident, and I got it all straightened out, and he had a 82 FXR, which they couldn't give them away, and so I'm doing my best not to take that bike, because they were dead horses. So he comes down, takes the deal I offered, and I'm going, now what am I going to do? So I get it, and my guy said, I'm complaining that I got stuck with this bike. And one guy said, why don't you take it around back and make it look good? That's what you do. And I'm going, so I rolled it back and took it back there and shortened the tubes, shortened the shocks, put drag bars on it, and I went, this ain't a bad old bike, you know. And I took it to Sturgis as a backup. I had a turbocharged shovel head at the time. That was fresh. And I get back there, and my buddy, Crazy John, breaks his 6-cylinder. And so I said, well, I got this backup bike if you want to use it, you know. And so he takes it and rides it around. Now it's lowered, and it looks good, I'm telling you. And he says, he comes back, he says, you got to tell me something about it. Everybody wants to know what it is. And so Willie G, we were real friendly with Willie then. And he ran into Willie the next day, and Willie goes, that's how them bikes should look. And 2 years later, that they started selling because they lowered them, made them look, you know, but never got no attaboy on that.
Which has to be something that you think about pretty often
Yeah.
because, man, FXRs are like,
Oh, they're
everybody
crazy.
loves FXRs. It doesn't matter what kind of genre of bike you're interested in. It seems like
Well,
everyone loves them.
I had a small shop at my house when we moved out of our, we sold our machine shop and sold our store. So I was working it, and if I built 10 or 12 bikes a year, probably at least 8 or 10 of them were FXRs and a couple of Softails. And so we got to be kind of known as the FXR guys, and you know, we're taking them to Sturgis, and pretty soon the Hampshire group I belonged to, one of their trademarks was a FXR with a Nest fairing on it, you know.
Yeah.
And they were called Hampshire bikes. They're not going, you know. So that was kind of an attaboy that only my own friends said, you know, because I let my guy that works for me, Rob, roll been with me for 30 years, and he's a very good fabricator. So one time, I think he was riding a shovel head, and we were taking some pictures down to this bar. He wanted a bunch of bikes in front of it, so I said, just ride my FXR down there. And he gets down there, he goes, that was kind of a trick, wasn't it? I got to have one of them. He goes, I'm done riding them other bikes. And I go, I never even thought of it that way. I just let him ride it. And pretty soon all my buddies were riding them, and it took off like crazy, you know. And I don't know if you know what an FXR DRS is.
I don't.
It's the one that's got a 240 tire, and they had the license plate behind the wheel. They're really a horrible bike that wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
So I had a customer bring one in, and he wanted us to change the air cleaner and change the pipe, which kind of cleaned it up. And I got looking at it, and I said, I can make that bike really look good. So I bought one from a dealer that was really willing to give it away. And so I got it and got home and didn't do a lot to it, but I just cleaned it up, and we rake everybody. All our frames are raked that we deal with our own, and raked the frame and got it all cleaned up. And, my friend Gilby did some nice paint on it. And I ride it, and just last year I was out to this town that has kind of a location bar, and I pull up and I make a U-turn, so it sits low, so it's off to the side. And 3 guys walk up to me and say, "What is that thing?" And I said, "It's a bike Harley couldn't sell." They sold in Europe, but they it just was, and they go, "That thing looks just cool," I'm going, but they quit. They only made them 2 years, and so that's what I do. I take the challenge, and I don't build as many FXRs. We're doing a lot of fab work I'm doing it for Clockworks and some other people. We get them to a point and they paint them and, assemble them. They are semi-capable. Some people we don't have to do everything, but we can, so. But it's been fun for me, it's been a lifetime achievement award. I'm not a kid anymore, but I still ride. I enjoy riding. and we put on a show.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of the show, I know that you are a busy guy. You have a lot of stuff going on here. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I guess to end, do you have anyone that you want to thank or anything, any closing thoughts that you have?
Well, Neil Ryan's my partner, and I thank him. You know, we talk a lot. You know, and I'm the poster child, and
It's the hair.
with the hair, I got nice hair. You know, still there anyway. And you know, he's a great person. We get along real well. I mean, there's lots of people. I mean, I've not done it all on myself. My brother was my partner at Smith Brothers and Fetro. Fetro, God bless him, has passed away. He was he wasn't so much a biker, but he was a machinist extraordinaire. You know what I mean? And he kind of taught me not to be afraid to take something apart. You know, I was always cautious about that. And we went to Funny Car and we'd order in something new and he'd have it all tore apart and I go, oh God, we just paid tons of money for that. And he'd go, he says, I want to know how it's put together. If we break it, I can fix it. And he was right. And so I had an uncle that was only 3 years older and he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a biker and he's the one that we did the frame for.
Okay.
My Uncle Elwood, and a lot of people call him Woody. And he showed us how to rake frames, but we had a Heliard. Nobody else had a Heliard. They had gas torches or arc welders. And I mean, we had frames stacked. I mean, when I say this high, I'm not exaggerating. You know, one time, him and my brother Happy, they locked themselves in the garage, took the phone off the hook. They did 7 frames that day.
Wow.
And that was just to take some place to stack the ones coming in, you know. But pretty soon in California, people calling us, how do you keep your frames from breaking? Said, we use heavy metal. You know, they all want to be petite. Well, the guys will drill a hole in it. No, they'll drill a hole like this. Well, now it ain't straight, so they now you need a hacksaw to finish it. You know, and but you know, we're farm kids. All 3 of us were farm kids, but we know how to work. And I mean, I would work 18 hours a day. You know, sometimes on the race car, sometimes on motorcycles. You know, but that's just how I was. You know, proper parents.
Yeah.
They took care of us. Didn't let us run away with the ball. Made us.
Let you get into a little bit of trouble, but not too much.
Oh, I don't even want to go there. You know, but no, my family was always been good, and you know, I've done many things. You know, I've run gassers, run funny cars, donated kitty to my sister in 1990. She got 15 years out of it. I'm very proud of that. And other than that, I'm just trying to be me. You know, I'm just who I am, really. I had California. People tell me I was out there one time, and of course I like to have a cocktail, so I'm standing by the bar. And the one guy, they're chatting with me about there's 3 of them, and the one guy finally says, "You're just who you are, aren't you?" And I said, "I don't know how to be anybody else. You know, I'm not me. I'm just, if you like what I do, fine. If you don't, I don't know. I'm still good. Still mine. It's what I wanted." And we had, you know, there's a guy named Bob Clark that was the editor of Street Chopper back in them days, and I met him in '76 in Sturgis, and you know, he was talking to people, and they say, "You got to go see Donnie Smith," you know, so finally he found me, and I'm like thinking I just died and went to heaven because I got a magazine guy, and he goes, no, it's the other way around. We're glad to meet you.
Wow.
You know, and I'm going, and he did a lot for both me and David, you know, and David is one of my very good friends. You know, we met at Arlen's, and I miss Arlen. Arlen was another very good friend of mine. I mean, they used to consider me and Arlen and David the 3 kings of custom. And I was in the Midwest, David's in the East Coast, Arlen. And that, you know, just how it was, you know. I mean, it's been a good ride for me, and I'm still here. So, you want to come see me? I'll be here next year.
All right. Well, I think we're going to be here next year too, and I really, really appreciate. Sorry, someone's shouting in the background. I really appreciate you giving me your time. It's been an honor to sit and have this conversation with you, and I really appreciate you.
Well, you should see me when I got a phone in my hand.
Maybe I'll start calling.
There you go. All right.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.